Hi guys, today we are going to talk about solving equations that have decimals and fractions in them. So get out your notes and write down today's I can sentence. I can solve equations with decimals and fractions. Let's start by reviewing how we solve just a normal one-step equation. So let's take x minus 12 equals 36. All right, so I always like to start by building my wall. My equal sign's my wall. And I go where the letter is. Here's the letter. And I do the opposite. They're subtracting, so I'm going to add. They use 12, so I'm going to use 12. I'm going to copy what I just wrote on the other side of the wall. All right, my minus 12 and plus 12 cancels out. So I'm left with my letter x, my equal sign, and then this math problem, 36 plus 12, which is 48. So x equals 48. We're going to use the same process, but we're going to be dealing with possibly fractions and decimals. So the solving of the equation is not new, but you're going to have to pull from that first and second chapter knowledge with decimals and fractions. Okay? So let's look at the equation. X minus 1/2 equals 5/6. X minus 1/2 equals 5/6. So we're going to do the same thing. My equal sign is my wall. Okay. I go to where the letter is, and I do the opposite. They're subtracting, so I'm going to add. They're using 1/2, so I'm going to use 1/2. I'm going to copy what I just wrote on the other side of the wall, plus 1/2. And just like before, my opposites cancel out. Minus 1/2 and plus 1/2 cancel each other out. So I'm left with x, my equal sign. And now here's where things get a little bit messy. I have this side problem right here. So I'm off to the side. I'm going to do 5/6 plus 1/2. Now, if you think back, we can't add fractions that have different denominators. So I need to make two new fractions with the same denominator. And I know that 6 and 2, well, they can both make the number 6. So I'm going to turn their bottoms both into 6's. For the first one, it's fine. It's still 5/6. But for my second one, I have to do 2 times 3 to get my 6. So I do my top times 3. And 1 times 3 is 3. So that when I add these together, my bottom stays a 6, and 5 plus 3 is 8. Now I can simplify that. Those can both be divided by 2. And I end up with, let's see here, 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. And I can simplify that. All right, I can get, let's see, 4 and 4/3 is 1 and 1/3 when I simplify it. So my x equals 1 and 1/3. Okay. So you see here the equation process is the same, but you just have this side work mess that's going to give you some headaches, I'm sure. Let's look at another one. Example number 3. 2.5 times x equals 10. 2.5 times x equals 10. Okay. All right, so I make my equal sign into a wall. I go to the side with the letter, and I do the opposite. Right now, it's 2.5 times x, and the opposite of times is divide. Remember, we have to use our division fraction bar. And I'm going to use the same number they use, which is 2.5. I'm going to copy what I just wrote on the other side of the wall. Divide by 2.5. And just like before, my opposites cancel out. So times 2.5 and divide by 2.5 goes away. I'm left with my x, my equal sign, and then off to the side, I do 10 divided by 2.5. So thinking back to decimals, okay, we can't have a decimal number on the outside. So I move it over. It takes one jump to move it. So I take my inside decimal, which is invisible at the end, and move it over one jump, which gives me 100 divided by 25. And I know that 25 goes into 100 4 times. So my answer is x equals 4. Okay, let's look at another one. Example number 4. Some of these are going to look weird, so let's look at one of those. How about 2/3 times y equals 6? Okay, this is a fraction times y. So what we need to do is the same process. My equal sign is my wall. Okay. All right, I go to the side with the letter, which is right here. It's 2/3 times y. Well, the opposite of times is divide. And I'm going to divide by the same number they used, which is the fraction 2/3. Now that looks really weird, right? But that's okay, just keep going. So copy what I did on the other side of the wall. Divide by 2/3. Now over on the first side, the opposites will cancel out. So times 2/3 and divide by 2/3 cancels out. So I go back and I have my y, my equal sign, and off to the side, I'm going to do this problem, 6 divided by 2/3. All right, so we know we need two fractions for division, so 6/1 divided by 2/3. And then you guys know we do keep, change, flip. So I'm going to have, what's here, 6/1, change it to times, flip it to 3/2. I multiply straight across, and I get 2 on the bottom and 18 on the top. When I simplify, 18 divided by 2 is 9. So y equals 9. Okay? So it didn't end up being as messy as you thought. It's just this side work becomes annoying after a while. Let's do one more. Let's do 20 equals n divided by 3.7. Okay, n divided by 3.7. So I'm going to make my equal sign my wall. I go to the side with the letter, and I do the opposite. So here's my letter. Right now it's dividing by 3.7. So I'm going to do the opposite. Opposite of dividing is multiply. Remember, we use the multiply parentheses. And we're going to use the same number they use, which is 3.7. I'm going to copy what I wrote on the other side of the wall. Multiply by 3.7. Now back over here where we were, opposites cancel out. So all that mess goes away. I'm left with my letter N, my equal sign, and then I have this side problem, 20 times 3.7. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and run through this. 7 times 0 is 0. 7 times 2 is 14. Drop down and put a 0 and do my 3. 3 times 0 is 0, and 3 times 2 is 6. I add these together, and then I need to have one decimal spot in my answer, so it goes right here. So my answer ends up being 74. So 74 equals n. Why don't you go ahead and do example number 6 on your own? So let's see here. Try 18 equals 3/4 times x. So go ahead and hit pause and try that one on your own. When you're done, hit play. All right, let's take a look here. You should have made your equal sign your wall. and you go to the side with the letter. So that's right over here. Now, right now, it's 3/4 times x, and the opposite of times is divide. And we're going to use the same number they use, which is the fraction 3/4. I hope you use the fraction division bar. All right, we need to use that with equations. Copy what you wrote on the other side of the wall. Divide by 3/4. Now, back where the letter is, the opposites cancel each other out. So times 3/4 and divide by 3/4 cancels out their opposites. And I get my letter, x, my equal sign, and then this side problem, which is 18 divided by 3/4. So you guys know we need a fraction divided by a fraction. So 3/4 is that, and 18 is 18 over 1. And then we do our keep, change, flip business. So I keep 18 over 1, change the divide to times, and flip this to 4 over 3. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and multiply straight across. 1 times 3 is 3. 18 times 4 is, 72? Okay. And I can simplify this. And in fact, I can look at this as 72 divided by 3. And 72 divided by 3. 3 goes into 7 twice. All right, 3 goes into 12 4 times, so that equals the whole number 24. So back in my equation, all right, my x equals 24. All right, so go ahead and give the quick check quiz a try. All right, make sure you're doing all the side work. As annoying as it is, you have to do it. We're not using calculators today. Good luck.